Hey guys, we're talking rest and relaxation. But really, how do you do that when the demands of the world around us often prevent us from truly being unplugged? It's vacation season, but we're still taking meetings by the pool and stressed out that we're going to miss that business call. If that ain't struggle in paradise, I don't know what is. 'Tis the season for vacations. I'm absolutely loving this right now where I'm talking to folks and everyone is just coming back from a little vacation or they're getting ready to venture out. Some of these vacations are huge, like 14-day trips to Greece and total bucket list items. And other trips are just a few day getaway with a nice little local Airbnb and some just good old fashioned rest and relaxation scheduled. We took our family on a trip to Mexico, and my kids are actually still convinced that Mexico is quite literally God's gift to the earth. Not my words, my 6-year-old words. This vacation season has me noticing, though, the same underlying struggle I've always noticed, and it's the working professional's ability to unplug. And when I say unplug, I mean totally disconnect from all of the normal busyness and noise and work and buzzing of the world and just this deep, deep longing to just be present. All of us, kids, no kids, whatever it is, we desperately want to be able to rest and recharge and just be present in the moment. I did read somewhere though that apparently the ideal vacation is 3 weeks long. I know, I had to control myself too. So the first week apparently is supposed to be spent attempting to disconnect from work. The second week you actually get to relax and be on vacation, and then the third week you are preparing to jump back on into normal life again. I don't know about you, but my experience is that some 80+% of people don't even take the paid time off offered to them in a calendar year, much less a 3-week vacation. It sounds lovely, but like, come on, let's be realistic here. We're all still attempting to plan vacations over extended holiday weekends just so we don't have to take off any more time than, absolutely needed. But nonetheless, it is still nice to hear folks getting out there and enjoying some trips, however long they are. And in my conversations, what I wanted to do today is I wanted to bring to light a few common things that seem to be keeping us from being able to disconnect and to recharge. And then I just want to offer up a few common unjuggles to this struggle as well. We've all been there, standing around that work water cooler, as they say, on a Monday morning, asking how the long weekend was, or engaging in that conversation about how your colleague's last vacation was. And to some degree, there is always a comment made about the amount of times they did or did not, quote unquote, have to check in with work. And I'll be honest, it broke my heart every time I heard someone talk about how many times they had to check in on a deal or check in with their teams, or they only sat in on this meeting. And the way that it was talked about, almost like it was a badge of honor or made them feel more like a dedicated employee or a more involved business owner, or even more how it seemed like to inflate that ego even a little bit because they were so important that the work world couldn't spin without them. And again, I know I'm coming out hot here, but I get to say these, call it like it is, tough truths, because I've been on both sides of that water cooler conversation, and I've said all of those same things myself once upon a time. I know what it's like to feel like you're the only person that seems to be able to move the needle, and a true checkout, it doesn't even seem. There was a point in time where it didn't seem like it was possible for me. whether it was in a couple times, I would say in a sales role where it was like, well, if I'm not making calls, then I'm missing out on money. I imagine as a new entrepreneur, I'm probably going to have to navigate this feeling as well. So we've all been there. And then I've also been the person who has put the right systems in place that have allowed me to unplug without guilt. And it is so beautiful. But I do recognize it's not the norm, hence the reason we're bringing this forth today. So, as always, ask myself, why should we care about being able to unplug? And although we won't necessarily dive into like the vast amount of research that's been done just to support the benefits of true rest, let's just say that anytime you can truly unplug and rest and recharge, you get, a real reminder that stress is not actually a way of life. You get to be more present, which means your brain is actually capable of more quality connection to your environment and the people in it. Your energy is restored. Hello, that's the obvious, but then what does that lead to? It leads to you create more space for creativity, and actually studies show this one too, more productivity. And the final, benefit I would say is like in our burnout hustle culture, just taking a good old fashioned break, it can help combat some of that burnout, psychologically and physically. When we took the family to Mexico earlier this year, my husband and I, we defined the priorities and like the intention for our trip. And the priority for us, it was for us just to have fun in the sun with our kids and with one another before we buckled into what we knew was coming this year. We've had trips in the past where the priority was to go and explore and to be buzzing and immersed in a different culture. But that wasn't this trip for us. This Mexico trip was about just joyful connection. And I know that because the phones either stayed in the hotel room or on airplane mode just so that we had it for pics only, I know we accomplished that goal tenfold. The kids lived off hot dogs and ice cream for the week. We fed sea turtles in the ocean. We won a family sandcastle making contest on the beach. And we danced to some awful karaoke. And we found joy in every single moment. I couldn't have imagined being plugged in to the so easily available technology of our normal day-to-day lives, and how much of that vacation and recharging and just pure joy that I 100%, I would have missed it. I lost count a long time ago about how many people I worked alongside that would absolutely be shocked in my ability to take a vacation where I didn't see my phone for 10 days. I'd hear things like, "Oh, I wish I could have done that, but," and then they would insert whatever reason they wanted to believe was the reason they didn't choose to prioritize their battery recharge and real rest and relaxation. So let's break those things down. Two of the most common things that seem to be the primary culprits in stealing a total unplug from the working professional. The first thing is that right systems aren't in place, and systems being defined as processes, people, trust, boundaries, etc. And the second thing, priorities are just misaligned. So let's look at systems. Let's start with processes. Look at your process. Where are there areas in your work that you're a potential bottleneck? And I say that lovingly and absolutely with a great level of understanding that there are certain things in your business where you're probably intentionally positioned to be a bottleneck as part of even just, for instance, your organization's basic risk mitigation. But if there are processes where the team can be empowered to streamline and where your butt doesn't have to be highly involved, while that seems a little counterintuitive sometimes, like maybe, okay, well, then I'm less valuable or I'm less important or I'm less needed. That's actually, an empowered team, that's actually a really wonderful sign of great leadership. And if you can remove those potential unintentional bottlenecks, you're creating more space for efficiency on your desk, your team's desk, and the organization as a whole. All right, systems, also referring to people, because that's a big one here too. People on, we'll say, on our team. And that's whether you're a leader or even just looking across at your peers. If you can't leave for a week or two, we're not even going to touch that whole 3 week thing. But if you can't leave for a week or two and trust that your desk and your business, that the work will be covered and delivered with the same quality as if you were present, then two things. Number one, you don't have the right people. And or number two, you haven't equipped the right people with enough empowerment and trust. You are not the only person who can do what you do. Ouch. I know. I'm normally so motivational here. You are not the only person who can do what you do. And sure, you're the only person maybe with your experience and your particular style and personality, and maybe how you deliver what you do is unique and highly sought after and absolutely valuable. However, black and white, whatever action you are performing, it is physically, mentally, emotionally, strategically viable for another human being to perform that same task. So let them. And this is absolutely, I even see this in my own life, business and personal. It's difficult to unplug personally when you feel like you're the only person responsible for getting your family out of the house or all packed and ready, making sure, the dog's going to the kennel for the week, whatever it is. And then you're basically still just managing everything just in a fancier location. Ooh, ah. If the family is going on vacation, the family can contribute to the collective tasks required. Same thing. Let them help. Having the right people in the game alongside you it's a long game strategy. It's not easy, especially at the beginning to just constantly be replacing talent. But just know, as long as you have C players on your team, you'll only ever be a C level team. As long as you have B players on your team, you'll continue to be a B level team. And when you get A players on your team, you'll be the A team. And then you'll have a whole different set of struggles. I like how Jocko Wilson, in one of his books, I think it's his extreme ownership book, he says, you'll only ever be as good as the most junior guy on the squad. So going back to, I'm thinking about my little girl right now. I'm like, hey, no pressure, my little 4-year-old, right? I'm just kidding. Okay. The tasks should always be equivalent to the skill level and everybody carrying their weight appropriately. So, long story short here, get the right people in place. And like I said, if you're not in leadership, it's about locking arms with your peers and ensuring that you've got good relationships, that you can rest easy, knowing that your desk is covered. And all of us, we have to invest our time in the people in our circles so that we too can go on vacation, get that full battery recharge and disconnect. And then when we come back with a refreshed lens and we come back as a better version of ourselves for those people and those businesses that are relying on us. Last part of this, having the right systems in place, would be boundaries. Have you established boundaries and expectations that the business knows, things like when you'll be checking in, if at all, and what you expect while you're out of office? So let's say you're an intentional bottleneck for your organization when it comes to reviewing and signing client contracts. You're the only person who holds this responsibility in the entire organization. Although in a normal week, you'd probably have to do this function pretty regularly, maybe like on an every other day, you get responses back maybe within 48 hours. The week you're on vacation, you simply set a boundary, an expectation that you're only going to do contract review on, for instance, Thursday afternoon from 2 to 4 Eastern Standard Time. So responses, they're going to be slightly delayed, but for anything immediate, you can expect a response by the end of the day, Thursday. This is going to allow you to check out all of those other days. Check out for the most part, but then it creates a designated time for you to jump out of vacation mode, get your thing done to move the business forward, and then sayonara suckers, you're back on vacation until next week. And maybe there's a piece of you thinking, like, wait, Britt, so now it's okay to check in with work once? Thought the whole point was to be able to check out entirely. It is, again, look at all of the research. It's going to show you that the longer you can check out, there's great benefit to it. However, I this is real life we're talking about. And although my brain likes to often convince me that I have to be all in or all out on something, I do recognize that the power of living with an and mindset, it's really freeing too. So if the business dictates it, and that's a priority for you too, then I do believe that there are ways that we can check in and check out that still allow us to do so without convincing ourselves of a lie that, oh, yeah, we're really on vacation mode, but we darn well know we really weren't. And then we sit back, we come back from vacation, we go, gosh, I still really need a freaking vacation. Sometimes things come up and we make that decision, or like the situation too. I really love this where the something comes up at work and we make a choice that says, hey, I'm not going to reschedule this vacation. My family and I are really looking forward to this. I am going to take it. I'm going to enjoy it and I'm going to unplug except for this one call that I'll be on. So again, just managing those expectations. I think that's okay, as long as it's not every time that you're doing that check-in thing. And that's just where you put some checks and balances in place. So if you had to take a meeting this vacation, then next weekend at home with the family, you don't. So the power of and then checks and balances. Other expectations and boundaries in the workplace that you can set, things like an out of office that just flat out says, I will not have access to emails or phone for immediate needs. Please reach out to so and so. Otherwise, I'll be back in office on this date and work to respond to your inquiries fast as possible. When I first shared this word track with another leader, I remember them saying, yeah, we're in leadership. We really don't have the luxury of not checking our emails and voicemails. To which my response was, of course you do. Reevaluate your process, delegate and empower your people, and manage everyone else's expectations. It is as easy as that. And as leaders, you not only owe it to yourself and your loved ones, but you actually owe it to your team and your organization to, I know here's a novel concept here, lead by example. God, I know, crazy. Man, my sarcasm is coming in hot today. All right, so diving into the second common culprit of not being able to unplug, and I kind of touched on this earlier, but it's a misalignment of our priorities. We can't sit there and say, I'm going on vacation to really soak up some time with my family. Everybody grows up so fast. It's been too long since we had some rest and reconnection. Like, you can't say that and then be on your phone every hour looking for updates about the business or on social media. Where are your priorities for the duration of the vacation? Because if priorities need to switch the following week when you're back to reality, they sure can. Like, set the priority in small chunks of time. So, of course, the priority for business this year, we'll say it's to grow by 20%. But for just this vacation week, the priority can totally shift to things like, hey, I'm going to finally read that book before the end of the vacation, or I'm going to have breakfast with my loved ones every single morning. So, what are your priorities for the vacation? Not the expectations of the trip, because that could end poorly. But what is your priority, or what is your intention? If it's to connect, then you have to be dedicated to creating intentional space for that. Maybe that's brunch by the pool every day as a family, or maybe it's a game you play walking or riding to dinner every night. Like, whatever it is, just keeping the focus on the priority is exactly what is actually going to recharge that battery and fill up that cup. Allow yourself to be present. Allow yourself to surrender to the vacation and to that priority, not the work deliverable waiting for you back at home. So, as we bring this episode to a close today, I recognize some things are easier said than done. And that's exactly why we can all say that we are on the struggle bus together. Just know that even a general awareness around these things mentioned today, it has the opportunity to create those small shifts in perspectives that just might make that next little vacation that much better if we'll let it. So try to get those systems in place with your process, with the people in your life and on your teams, and set those boundaries and manage expectations that allow you to totally be unplugged. And then my favorite, set the priority for the vacation and infuse that intentionally into every aspect of your vacation so that that battery gets that full recharge you deserve. You relax, you connect, and you recharge. You deserve rest. So go get it. Bye.